right, here, let me do this.
Indeed.
Are we rolling? Yeah, we're rolling. Okay, very good.
See, I feel like I'm in great company because I get to hang out with Chris Baker. So
Yeah, suck up. All right.
Hey.
Hi, it's me, Chris Baker, and we're at the big Republican pancake feed here at Elmwood Park. And right now, a guy who I think a lot of, I think he's got a great future helping lead Nebraska, the great Ian Swanson. Ian, good to see you, sir.
You too. Thanks for
Now,
having me.
I was looking for a milking stool to stand on to talk to Ian, but I'm just going to butch up and be me. Anyway, Ian, good to see you out here.
Thanks.
And I haven't talked to you since the election. I thought a thin margin.
Indeed.
You know, I thought you worked really hard, but I think you have a great future
Thanks.
in politics. I think you have a great future in leadership. So what are you doing now, and what are you looking at in the future?
Well, yeah, I guess I probably have like 2 years to make up my mind if I want to do it again, right? Since the cycle continues to get longer and longer and longer.
Yeah.
You know, for all the folks that are electioned out, we just had a mayor's race, and now we're into the Senate race, and Bob Ebden running for Secretary of State. So the election never really stops.
Right.
But, you know, I'm glad to see that there are, 300 people here today for the Pancake Breakfast, and we got the car show. So there's still lots of stuff going on in Nebraska, Douglas County Republican politics.
So, but Ian Swanson, are you going to try to get that unicameral seat again?
Well, Senator Klowski's term limited out,
I think you would do a really good job.
You know, we'll see what happens in 2 years, but I think so.
So you don't know yet. You're just going to hang out.
I'm going to say yes until something changes, for sure.
Aha.
Governor
All right.
Ricketts.
Very good.
Speaking of people that we got to vote for.
Oh, Governor Ricketts, how you doing, sir? The great Governor Pete Ricketts making his way around town, making his way around.
Indeed.
So, Ian, after the last big Fed election, and I'm just curious. I mean, just for some perspective, how do you see things going? Because people seem to be very obsessed with the president's tweeting habits, but it doesn't seem to me that a lot of the substantive things that he's doing are getting covered.
Indeed.
You see it the same way?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think he should stop tweeting. I think he should stop tweeting some of the things he's tweeting.
Yeah.
The imprudent things that he's tweeting.
Right.
But, you know, if he's got 35 million people that follow his Twitter account, I mean, he should be talking about Charlie Gard in the United Kingdom, you know, the little 10-year-old boy who the government says, no, I know you have the money, but we're not going to allow you to come to the United States and get life-saving.
I believe that would be a death panel.
That's right. I mean, that's rationing. That's what happens when you give the government power to tell you what care you can and can't get.
Yeah, we were told that would never happen.
That's right.
And there it is, right
we're using scare tactics if we want to talk about things. I'm just saying it happens every time you have socialized medicine, but, you know, I'm the radical for that position. You know, so he should be talking about that.
Right.
And he did tweet about it, but of course you never hear it in the media because that's not what they want to tell you about. They want to spend, day 4 now of his CNN takedown, you know, his spoof, if you will.
Yeah, he didn't even make that.
Right. He just superimposed CNN. Yeah. By the way, also, that's from a WWE event, which is fake wrestling.
Yeah.
So I get the fact that it's a parody. You get the fact it's a parody.
When you were a kid, did you watch that?
I didn't. I frankly didn't even know Trump was on it.
Bravo.
I know. I was too busy watching the History Channel, Chris. I can't help myself.
See? Like I said, bright future. Ian Swanson, man. It's great
thanks.
to
It's good to see you.
God bless you.
You too.
Keep going, man.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Ian Swanson's very, very sharp guy. Very sharp guy. Very sharp. All right, here we go. All right, let's talk with Bob Ebden. Bob, how are you, sir?
I'm good. You want me to step down to the lower levels?
Yeah, get down here on midget level, will you? So, Bob, how are things going?
Oh, things are going great. Things are going very well.
And as Secretary of State, what do we have to look forward to?
Well, there are 3 things I've been talking about. One is to keep our voting fair and secure. You know, we don't have a lot of corruption voting in our state. We need to keep it that way. And I want to work to keep it that way. There are a couple of things that I would like to see. One is voter ID. I think voter ID is just common sense. But we have to put it in place in a way that doesn't disenfranchise properly registered voters. We can do that. And the second thing is on your voter registration card, the first question that you're asked is, are you a citizen of the United States, yes or no? Are you a citizen of the United States? It's the law of our country and our state that in order to vote in our elections, you have to be a citizen.
I mean,
not everybody agrees with that, but that's the law, and I believe in that law. So I think that what we ought to be doing is cross-checking. Nobody ever confirms the answer to that question on the voter registration form.
Really?
So I think that we ought to have a system in place to confirm that answer.
Yeah.
Now, there's a whole system that's set up for driver's licenses, but you don't necessarily have to have a driver's license to register to vote either.
Mm-hmm.
So these are things that I want to just step back, take a look at. I want to keep our elections fair and secure. Secretary Gale's done a great job. He's not running again. He's done a great job with our elections, and I want to just continue in that tradition.
Other states offer a free ID. If a person doesn't have an ID, then the state will give them an ID free of charge. In a Nebraska voter ID system, can people expect the same thing?
Yeah, I think that the parameters of this, Chris, are yet to be completely worked out. The legislature hasn't even gone to the step yet where they're willing to even talk about this in a serious way.
Right.
But what we wanted, the touchstone is, we need to have a system, a voter ID system, that doesn't disenfranchise people.
Right.
And one of the ways is to make it easier to get an ID.
Right.
There are other ways of doing it too, like you forget your ID, you don't have it at the polls. Well, you can vote provisionally. Another way is you don't have your ID, but the poll worker has known you for 35 years. The poll worker says, yes, I know that's Chris Baker. That's
maybe a
enough.
database where they could go and find their ID with a picture. Might be an idea.
Sure. So there are a lot of ways that we can go about this.
Yeah.
And it'll just help minimize the chance that corruption gets itself into our system. You know, one of the things that is that's interesting is that once a voting system becomes corrupted, it is very, very difficult to root it out.
Right. Well, I've heard stories that there are states and cities that have not purged their voter rolls of deceased citizens for over a decade in some states. Now, that's going to be that'll be a tough fix.
Well, an example is I read an article a couple of years ago, if I recall it correctly, that 59 precincts in the city of Philadelphia had more registered voters than people over the age of 18. 59 precincts in Philadelphia, if I remember this correctly, had more registered voters who were than they had citizens over the age of 18. I'm not talking about one or two, 59. And what's happened is that there are Republicans and Democrats of good cheer and good faith who have tried to root this out, and they failed. Mm-hmm. They can't get it cleaned out. Because once corruption gets insinuated in your system, it's just very difficult to get rid of it, which is why I think it's important to address it to keep our elections fair and secure before we have a problem, not after.
Right, and I agree with you 100%. Bob, thank you so much.
Chris, great
God
to
bless
see you.
you.
Thank you.
Appreciate everything.
Happy 4th.
Happy 4th.